everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer with the DRF Race of the Day for Sunday, October the 30th. Our coverage is presented by DRF Bets, so we're going to kick off a 50-cent pick four at Belmont at the Big A with the $250,000 Empire Classic for New York Reds. Let's take a look at this field. They're going to go 1 1/8 miles. Scan the QR code for Race of the Day access on mobile. Mike, this is a pretty wide open race. The old-timer Seafoam, the number 3, is won 10 of 28. He's a hard hitter. He's going to be taking on some sharp 3-year-olds, however.
Yeah, it feels like maybe the 3-year-olds might be the horses he has most to fear from in this race. Dan, we'll see about that. He's just a really good horse. I think he's the horse to beat. He loves 2 turns and 9 furlongs on the dirt, which he's going to get here with this race being run at Aqueduct this year. So those are positives, but he also wants to be on the lead, Dan, and I think this pace could be fast.
I agree. Timeform US agrees as we throw up the pace projector. And I think Seafoam, more than fearing the 3-year-olds, is fearing the possibility of a fast pace because Montebello was the pace setter in the Albany 2 starts back. Barrace likes to be close to the pace. I'm very surprised that we see Barrace in 5th, according to the Timeform US pace projector. Dr. Blute has shown good speed in his career as well. So Seafoam likely is going to have to work for the lead, but I think he'll get it.
I mean, they're going to send him. That's his running style. They want him on the lead. They're going to send him to get there, and then we'll just see what happens. To me, this pace is all about the number 4, Dr. Blute, who's, last 2 races, they've gotten really aggressive with him. He's run really well in those races, and I can't imagine they're going to take his speed away in here.
Montebello goes out for trainer Todd Pletcher. He was a first-level allowance winner, 3 starts back, going 1 turn at Belmont, and he set the pace that day. He opened up a pretty big lead in upper stretch, and he was all out to hold off the odds-on favorite that day. He was the pace setter in the Albany. He got beat. I think that was a little bit disappointing, although maybe you just want to hold the sloppy track excuse against him. Last time out, though, I didn't think he ran especially well.
Yeah, me either. I'm just, more than anything else, Dan, I'm concerned about this horse over a distance of ground. I don't like any of those 3 starts since they've stretched him out. And I know that he ran a career best 88 buyer when he won 3 starts back, but he was not finishing in that race at all. And he got sort of saved by the wire there. And I just don't like his 2 races since that. I think this horse is a real question mark going this far, especially with other speed.
I think I have the same questions about Barrace, the number 2, 3-1 on the morning line. He's run well at 1 1/8 miles in the past, but I always have liked him at sort of shorter distances, between 7 and 1 1/16 miles. He is a multiple stakes winner. He won the New York Derby against a much weaker field 2 starts back. And in the Albany, he was involved with Montebello, and he got the better of him in the stretch. He might be better than Montebello, but he's stepping up to face others that are pretty good, including Seafoam.
Yeah, it feels like he's going to have to improve again to win this race. I won't be surprised when he does it, Dan. This is the Albany right here. He's been sort of, sitting up there pressing Montebello on the lead the entire way here. They're hooked up in the stretch. The winner is going to come from last to first and run these horses over. And Barrace does get the better of Montebello at the end. I don't know. I'm a fan of this horse. I think he's good. I don't necessarily think this is a bad distance for him. I just feel like it might be a tough race.
Here's the very likable Seafoam, the number 3, the expected speed, according to Timeform US. He won the Alex M. Robb on New Year's Eve, and then he went to the sidelines for an extremely long time. He returned in the Evan Shipman coming out of the chute at Saratoga, and he ran very well, considering it was his first start in almost 8 months. He went right to the front, and it took a nice horse in Bankit to run him down late. Let's take that last race with a grain of salt, the Polynesian at Pimlico. Not only didn't he break very well, that was a rail bias track, and he caught a horse that just rode the rail on the lead, a very sharp 3-year-old.
Yeah, the start really cost him last time. They rushed him up, but he was on the outside. I think he deserves a pass for that one. I thought he ran great in the Shipman 2 starts back. They sent him that day. They really wanted the lead from the outside post. He got it, and he just didn't give an inch through the stretch there with a really good horse bearing down on him. I really like this horse, Dan. I'm a huge fan. This is his distance. I'm just concerned that he's going to get hooked on the pace here, and that could really work against him.
He's won his last 3 starts going a 2-turn 1 1/8 miles. Remember, the Empire Classic is usually run at Belmont, a 1-turn 1 1/8 miles. Seafoam's been in this race several times. It just hasn't worked out. the configuration of the track works to his favor. Dr. Blute's going to be stepping up in class off a first-level allowance win. He won in gate-to-wire fashion, going a one-turn mile at Belmont at the Big A, and he looked pretty good doing it. He went right to the lead, he took token pressure, and he's just too much for this field. But as we've seen in New York many times, Mike, first-level New York breds, when they step up to second-level New York breds, it's a big hike. This horse is bypassing that condition and going right to the Empire Classic.
Yeah, they're going to step him up, I think, mostly because he's just in really good form right now since Safi Joseph has taken over this summer. This horse has improved, and his last two races were really good. They also came with a little bit of a change in tactics, Dan. They really used this horse's speed in his last two starts. And, I'm assuming they'll do that again in here, and he's going to wind up having to race Seafoam going 9 furlongs. And I think that's a lot to ask.
If you're looking for a versatile runner that could take advantage of a fast pace and has won over course and trip and is sharp, why not the 5 Curlin's Wisdom, who's coming into this race off a 3-race win streak, culminating in this effort in a second-level New York bred allowance, going a mile and an eighth at Aqueduct. And he set a pretty good trip in behind the 3-ply leaders, gets to the outside, grinds them down. Linda Rice has this 3-year-old in very good form.
Yeah, I think she does. I really like the way he finished in here. You're right that he got the right kind of trip in this race. There was really no trouble for him at all in this race. But I like the way that he stayed and sees out the 9 furlongs. It was another step in the right direction for him. And he's just the kind of horse that I think when you start, taking his form apart, since his debut, very few races on fast dirt. But every time he's gotten on fast dirt, he's run really well. And that includes the last 2 starts. I think this horse is headed the right way.
Big Bobby, the number 6, is going to stretch out around 2 turns for the first time in his career. He ran well last time out in his initial route effort, a 1-turn mile at Belmont at Aqueduct on September the 24th. He's going to run second in this race. He gets the better of Montebello, who was pushing the pace and finished 6th. He is slowly improving for the great Belmont. He's just been stuck in that second-level allowance condition for a very long time, Mike, and maybe he's a little class compromised.
Yeah, I think he is. The distance is also a big question for him. He doesn't necessarily have the pedigree to do it. He's a really good-looking horse, but he just, for whatever reason, hasn't taken any steps forward. He started out with a little potential, hasn't gotten any better. The distance doesn't seem like it's going to work for him. I thought he was hard to like.
I'd like to see Brooklyn Strong run a good race. He won the Remsen as a 2-year-old at Aqueduct, going a mile and an eighth on the sloppy track. Maybe he was rushed a little bit into the Triple Crown Trail. He ran in the Kentucky Derby, and it's taken him a long time to get back into any sort of semblance of form. He really had no chance last time out in the Greenwood Cup, stretching all the way out to a mile and a half. Up close to a slow pace, he held on for third.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if nothing else, the distance is a good one for him, and he's going to have it feels like he's going to have some hitting going on in front of him. These are positives for this horse. I can't say, even though his form has sort of upticked a little bit recently, I still can't say I love, any of his recent races, Dan. I know he's good enough on his best day to win here, but I couldn't get to him.
Before we get to our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. Lots of exciting Breeders' Cup content coming up next week on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. Top pick time for the Empire Classic. Mike, I admit I don't really have a strong opinion in this race. I almost went with your top pick, Curlin's Wisdom, because I think this horse is just going to trip out and is sharp. I just was taken with the way Dr. Blute won last time out. I do realize this race might not be run to suit him. He is stretching up. I need him to drift off his 4-1 morning line. It's way too light for me.
Yeah, we'll see how they bet the race. That's going to be another interesting thing to see how that plays out. I just felt like there was too much pace to have a ton of confidence in Seafoam. I still think he's the horse to beat in here. I wanted to take Curlin's Wisdom. I think he is going to get a good trip here, and I do think he's improving.
5327 for Mike, 4521 for me, $250,000 affair, the Empire Classic, your DRF race of the day for Sunday. Our coverage presented by DRF Bets. Good luck.